Welcome to another Gale Force Twins episode. In today's videos, we are going to talk about how to get a rod.
Amanda, not videos.
Did I say videos? Video. A rod, a reel, spool it up, put it together, how to go from pieces to a fishable item. Now, it might seem like a simple concept, but we did some Instagram polls, and a lot of you guys requested this video. You wanted to know how to do it. And to be honest with you, when we first started fishing, this was a very overwhelming concept as well. I was afraid I was going to do it upside down. Was I going to do it backwards? Was I going to do it right? Did I tie my knot right? Did I spool it right? There's a lot that goes into this, so we're going to cover all those details today. My name's Amanda. Emily's behind the camera. This is Kona, and welcome to our channel, Gale Force Twins. The first thing we are going to do is put our reel on our rod. But before we even do that, we wanted to show you guys this rod. Now, this rod was actually a gift to Gale Force Mom, and we had one of our really good friends, Blacksmith Rods, build this thing. It was custom built and it's beautiful. So I just wanted to give Blacksmith a shout out and show you the rod. This rod was custom built. It's absolutely beautiful. We told him to do whatever he thought would be nice. We said blues, fun colors, make it pretty, and the detail work in this is amazing. I mean, if you look at the guides, they're rainbow guides, which is just so fun. It's the perfect rod. This is a snapper rod that we had built for Gale Force Mom because that's her favorite type of fishing, and we just wanted to do a nice little gift, and this thing came out phenomenal. So if you guys are interested, I'll put information on how to order your own custom Blacksmith rod. You will not be disappointed. Bear with us today. It's incredibly windy, so we are going to be squatting down to not be blowing out the mics and killing your guys' ears. So first and foremost, you have your rod, you have your reel. Now, one of the big things is it a spinning rod or a conventional rod? That's going to determine how you put your reel on. So a spinning rod, guides are going to be facing down, like so. Conventional guides are facing up. So if it's a conventional rod, your reel, now this is obviously a spinning reel, but your reel is going to be up, spinning you're going to be down. Okay, so spinning we're down, conventional we're up. Whether it's a spinning reel or a conventional reel, we're going to slide our reel up into this groove, and then we are going to come down here and we're just going to twist this up to tighten in on the reel perfectly like that. So that is how your reel gets attached to your rod. The first thing you're going to want to do is grab your line, whether you're using mono or braid. That is completely up to you. But the number one thing you want to make sure you do, which is an easy step to forget, we personally have forgotten it as well, is you need to start by putting your line through the top guide, the tip top. And you're going to work your line all the way down each guide all the way down to your reel. So don't forget, start with the tip top guide, work your line all the way down to the reel. Once you get to the reel, my personal favorite knot to tie is the uni knot around the reel. It's a really simple knot, it's super easy, it doesn't slip, and it's very safe, and you don't need to worry about it. Once it's on there, you're good to go as long as you've tied it right. Coming from our last guide, we're gonna bring our line all the way down to our reel. Now, right now, the bail is closed. We are going to need to open that up, a very important step, and our line is gonna go around the reel like so. So if I were to tie my uni knot, it would be like pretending that the reel is now the hook, but I'm gonna take both lines, pinch with my left hand, in my right hand, I'm making that loop. Right here, I'm gonna grab it just like that. So this is the uni knot going around the reel. My tag end goes around both the main line and the loop, wrap it around 4 or 5 times, maybe more like 6 or 7. And we're gonna pull on the tag end to tighten it down a little bit. Can we see that, Emily?
Yep.
And then we're gonna go ahead, pull on that main line, and that knot is gonna get up and cinched in there like so. That is how I like to tie my knot around a reel.
But you can use any knot of choice.
Yes, and then I'll cut this tag in, but I'll leave a little bit of length in there. It's tough to see.
You'll probably never get to that
There we
point.
go. We'll never get to that point, so just make sure that's in there. And now we can go ahead, close that bail. Line's gonna sit there perfectly. And we're gonna get the rest of this braid on the spool. Now we're gonna show you a few different ways to getting your line on your spool properly and effectively so that when you go fishing, you have no problems. Something that you really wanna consider is what species you plan on fighting this reel with. So this is for yellowtail snapper, so I'm gonna put pressure for a yellowtail snapper. If I were setting this up for a planer setup, completely different amount of pressure.
A lot more.
A lot more pressure, yeah. Method number one is going to be a rag or a glove. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my braid, and all I'm doing is reeling on the reel while keeping pressure as the braid travels through the glove or my rag. And what this is doing is we're making sure that our line gets on our reel at a perfect amount of pressure and it's all tight in there. Now, if for some reason I was very loose and we had a big heavy fish go after this, what happens is the braid will cut inside there. It'll be a nightmare. You just don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just grabbing that braid with my hand through the rag, holding onto it, putting some pressure on it as I reel. While I'm using the rag or glove technique, my spool is just on the deck of the boat. I'm not really worried about it because my right hand with the glove or rag is doing all the work. Our next technique is going to be, I would call it a two-person technique, but it's a great way to get a team involved if you don't want to do this alone, have some company. So take a screwdriver. Here's my spool. Screwdriver goes through the spool. It doesn't have to be a screwdriver. Dehookers work. We've used pencils. Pencils work for this as well. And you're going to want to put your spool on something that you don't mind if it gets, I don't want to say damage, but a piece of cardboard is good. The bottom of a bucket is good. You just don't want to put this straight on your fiberglass. So what's going to happen is we're going to have one person holding this screwdriver down, maybe with two hands like so, and putting pressure down on the spool as if they're the yellowtail snapper or whatever species you're trying to catch with this rod. If you're going for sharks, you need to put a lot of pressure. If you're going for mahis, some pressure is good. Snapper is just some light pressure. And the second person is going to reel like that, and while they're reeling, the person with the screwdriver or the pencil or the dehooker is the one putting the pressure down.
Acting like the fish.
Acting like the fish. The final technique that we are going to talk about is the bucket of water technique. So you're going to take your spool and put it in a bucket of water right here. I have my bucket of water. There's about a ½ inch of water in here, but you really don't need more than an inch of water. Now this spool right here is too small to really work in the bucket of water trick, but if I had a wider spool that was maybe this wide across, it would sit upright in the bucket of water like so. And I'll just go like this, as I were pulling and on the line and putting it onto as I'm reeling basically on my reel, the water would be doing the pressure, not my hand. So the water would be doing it, but you just need your reel to be able to sit upright.
Right. So this spool, see how it falls down?
It's too skinny to sit upright, but if you had a big spool, this trick works really, really well. And it's a one-person trick. And something else you can do is if you have a big spool and it keeps falling over as well, you can put a towel in here. So that's something else I could do is I could put this up against the side of the bucket, put a towel right here, and this would sit right here. And I'd be reeling, and the water and the towel would be doing the pressure for me. The next thing we're going to talk about is how do you know how much line you should be buying, what pound line you should be buying, and if you want to buy mono or braid. So I'll just start with the mono or braid conversation. Now that is probably going to be personal preference and opinion, but it also does depend on what species you're targeting a little bit. Now we're diehard braid fans. Braid is very low maintenance. It's a little bit more expensive, but the idea to braid is you put it on your reel and you can kind of forget about it. You don't really have to worry about respooling it unless it gets low. Now mono over time will have a memory and it'll coil around your reel, and when you go to fish with it, if it maintains that memory, it can just kind of be a headache. But mono is more affordable, and if you plan on targeting things like sailfish, having mono can be very helpful. It has more stretch. That's the one thing. Braid does not have a lot of stretch, so if your drag isn't set perfectly and you're using braid, it's not as forgiving, but mono has stretch. It can be a little bit more forgiving. So it's kind of personal preference. Something else you can do is back your reels with braid and then top them with mono. We have done that. That's also a great technique. Let's look at our reel. Right here on the reel, it tells us if we wanted to use 8-pound mono, we need 200 yards, 10-pound mono, 165 yards, or 12-pound mono, 120 yards. So if you know that you want to use mono, it kind of gives you 8-pound, 10-pound, 12-pound. If you knew you wanted to do more than 12-pound, you know you would need less than 120 yards. Now on the other side of the reel right here, it tells us braid. It says 15-pound braid, 250 yards, 20-pound braid, 180 yards, and 30-pound braid, 130 yards. So right there, it's kind of giving you numbers on what pound braid or mono you want to use and how many yards you're going to need. That's going to sum up how to properly put your reel on your rod, how to spool it up, how to know what pound test to use, how much of it to use, mono or braid. So guys, I know it might seem like a simple concept, but it can be overwhelming. So we hope this was helpful for you. If you have any more questions, go ahead and drop it in the comments. What I would do from here is probably tie a double uni to some 12-pound leader for snapper, tie a uni to my hook, and you're ready to go fishing. We hope you learned something today, and we want you to get out there, have fun, and stay safe.